Hi, welcome to viewers of Sri Energy Management. Today we are going to know about pain. How pain comes, what does pain indicate, how pain can be transformed to power. Pain is in itself can be managed, but there are different mechanisms how we manage it and how Swara Samyoga is going to help in pain transformation. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is often a messenger, an email notification. Most of us delete it with painkillers. Pain is not just physical. Before it becomes a disease, it begins as unexpressed emotional pain. When we silence it with painkillers, ignore the signals and the body starts screaming louder. Sometimes the pain shifts from head to back to legs and the diagnosis shows nothing, but the body knows. Even post surgery pain is often a messenger because the root cause, the inner psychological wound, was never healed. Physical pain is often a manifestation of unresolved inner pain. When I was struggling with migraines, spondylitis, sinusitis, and chronic fatigue, I kept asking, how do I stop this pain? But the real question was, what is this pain trying to teach me? Pain is not just in the muscle, pain is processed in the brain. And when the brain is overwhelmed, the body screams. Through my 17 years of Swara Samyoga practice, I discovered this. When sound reorganizes the nervous system, the body does not need to scream anymore. When we don't suppress pain, we retrain the system. Pain is of the brain. Pain comes from the brain. Pain is not always structural problem. If every pain was purely structural, every surgery would permanently have solved the pain. But we know that doesn't happen. Pain is an output of the brain. It is influenced by memory, stress, inflammation, belief systems, and nervous system overload. When we regularly practice Swara Samyoga, our tolerance increases. But someone asked me if we are masking the pain, as it may lead to an emergency later. Painkillers mask the pain. But in Swara Samyoga, we train our system not by distracting the brain, means we are not giving a placebo, but we are influencing the neural processing. We don't just treat the tissue, we understand the system. Hi, I'm Dr. Aruna Sri, an integrative music healing coach and pain transformation expert. Pain is a brain process. Pain does not happen where you feel it, it happens in your brain. When the tissue is injured, signals travel through nerves to the spinal cord and then to the brain. But there is important part. The brain decides whether to produce pain or not. Pain is an output. It is influenced by past experiences, fear and stress, emotional memory, nervous system sensitivity. When the neural pathways are repeatedly activated, they become stronger. That's how chronic pain develops. Now, here is where sound becomes powerful. Music is not just entertainment, it activates the limbic system, the prefrontal cortex, the autonomic nerve system, and certain frequencies and melodic patterns. They are called ragas in our Indian classical music, can reduce hyperactivity in pain pathways and increase parasympathetic response. When the nervous system feels safe, pain intensity can reduce. By regular practice of Swara Samyoga, we are not masking pain, we are modulating neural processing. We have two mechanisms for management, placebo versus neuroplasticity. Music therapy works only as a placebo. Is this statement logical? Okay, let's understand something very clearly. Placebo is expectation-driven improvement. You believe something will work, so the brain responds. And that itself is neuroscience, but neuroplasticity is different. Neuroplasticity means the brain physically rewires based on repeated stimulation and experience. When specific ragas are practiced consistently, neural circuits involved in emotional regulation strengthen. Stress response reduces. Parasympathetic activity increases. Pain sensitivity pathways can downregulate. This is not blind belief. This is adaptive neural change. Placebo is expectation. Neuroplasticity is structural and functional adaptation. These are two different mechanisms. Do not confuse the two. If sound can repeatedly activate brain networks, it can reshape them too. Why chronic pain persists after tissue heals? Why does pain continue even after the injury has healed? When the tissue is injured, inflammation and repair happens over weeks, but sometimes the pain continues for months or years. Why? Because Pain is not stored in the muscle, it is processed in neural networks. When pain signals repeat over time, the brain strengthens those pathways. This is called a central sensitization. The nervous system becomes hyper alert. Even the normal sensations can be interpreted as pain, as it happens in case of CRPS. So the tissue may have healed, but the neural circuit remains active. This is why approaches that only target the tissue may not be enough. If the nervous system is sensitized, it needs retraining. Sound, rhythm, and structured raga patterns can influence autonomic balance, reduce hypervigilance, and gradually downregulate overactive pain circuits. Chronic pain is not weakness, it's a learned neural pattern. And what is learned can be relearned. Follow me for neuroscience based Swara Samyoga sound healing. Click the link below to join my masterclass Pain to Power. I'll teach you how ragas, mantras, visualizations, mudras can influence pain management and we can transform our pain to power. See you in the masterclass.